Hello, and after 10 long years, welcome back to fuzztalks. I'm your host, Fuzz. As per usual, there's no one else, and today we'll be talking some more. Now, before I begin, allow me to address a few things, although you could technically say I've already begun. Now, first of all, I am recording on my phone using an earphone mic, which is, I'd say, not that much of a difference from using my headphones that I usually default to for the previous episodes. But the reason I'm using my earphones this time is because my headphones are expiring. The mic is fine, but because those are headphones, I have to put them on, and I don't know what it's called specifically. I'm sure there's a term for it, but the cloth around the headphones that rest on your ears, those are falling off, and I thought of resolving it with tape, but I'm pretty sure that's not going to help at all, and it would probably like ruin the sound quality. But yeah, so I didn't even attempt on fixing it, but it's sad because the mic works just fine, the audio is just fine, it's just the cloth thing. I might get a new one, I might actually get a mic, who knows. But either way, if the quality sounds different or like more background noise is being picked up from the mic for this recording, then I'm sorry for that. But yeah, second thing I want to address is I don't know if I mentioned it before in the previous episode, but that episode was actually scripted. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because, I don't know. I just felt like talking about it. I probably because it's been like, oh yeah, okay, I remember now. I remember why I wanted to talk about this. So, because the last episode is scripted, you could say it has been a long time since I freestyled an episode. Especially since it has been a while since I came out with a new one. And even in the scripted episode, I was struggling to phrase out my words because I wasn't like following the script one by one. There were parts that I added or just didn't follow. But point is, there was a guide, and yeah, honestly I wasn't really happy about it because I felt like it didn't feel true to the nature of this podcast, even though I've only had 5 episodes up till now, and the 4 that I did have were technically based off of something, even though most of the time they didn't really follow what it was intended to be done for. Like, I was supposed to talk about the premise of short stories and share to you guys what the stuff I wrote is about, but never really got to it most of the time. And then the first, I'm pretty sure it was the first Fuzz Talk episode, or was it the second? You see, I don't even remember how many episodes I have at this point. I'm pretty sure it was 1 episode. This is technically the second episode of Fuzz Talks, but either way, yes. So this time, not scripted, and I kind of want to leave it that way because I feel like that's the point of it. Like, back when I first started it, the point was that so I could articulate my words better. So let's stay true to that goal. Now, today I want to talk about something that has happened to me a few times at this point. It's nothing crazy. I guess you could say it kind of is, but if you think about it, really, it's not that insane. It's only insane because it doesn't happen often and frequent enough for you to like get used to it, but it's not anything too crazy. So I want to talk about how small of a world this is. Okay. Now, there are many instances of this, and knowing me, I can't remember them all, or at least not all of them at this moment specifically. But I have some examples to give you. So the first example happened before I started or officially started my degree of life. So to preface, I had this girl I knew back in my diploma days. We talked to each other like twice back then, or was it once? I don't know. Wait, actually twice, because I bought something from her. I bought a hijab from her. But yes. And we followed each other on social media, but other than that, we've never really interacted more than those 2 or maybe 3 times, honestly. So I know her name, I know how she looks like, I know what class she was in. She was in a different class from me, but uh, well, I want to say her name, but for privacy reasons, I'll just keep it, you know, a secret. But yeah, so this girl, yeah, so yeah, at that point we just followed each other on social media, and not really interacted on social media either. We were just mutuals, and let's just say the last thing I would expect from her was that we'd end up as roommates today. So the story is, when I received my admission letter, I guess, yeah, admission letter for the course I'm taking right now in this place. Um, I was nervous because first of all, when I was a fresh SPM uh, leaver, whatever the hell it's called, I forgot. Uh, so when I was like fresh out of school, out of secondary school, I was excited to start my diploma life because I didn't really have expectations going in, but it was a new thing for me. I've never slept in a dorm before, like for like a long period of time. Never done that before. Never really branched out to make new friends. Like throughout my school years, those were all the people I knew, and they were all usually the same from elementary to secondary. Even some elementary people I knew. Sorry, not elementary. Kindergarten days, you know. And it's like they're all familiar faces. So I was excited. I got to meet new friends, and I was going to pursue a course that was near and dear to me. You could tell I was quite passionate about it back in the day. So I was excited. But once I was in diploma, I made new friends who, to me, I felt set the standards really high to the point where, you know, thinking of degree, I got scared. I was like, man, this time it's the same as back when I was like 18, ready to start a new progress in life. It's just that this time I actually have friends that I hold really dear to. It's not to say that the friends I have in school wasn't dear to me. It was different. It's sort of like a bond that you know is going to be hard to escape. So you're not really like worried about stuff like you know, not really seeing them again or whatever. But with diploma, we've only spent time with each other for roughly like what 3 years. Met up a few times. Sure, they were all memorable and fun. And it's that moment that makes you scared. So walking into degree, like the thought of starting degree was scary for a while to me. Eventually, I got over it, of course, but at some point I got worried, and I realized, man, I don't know how I would, you know, fare if I had new roommates. What if the roommates I'm bound to have are like, you know, just awful people? Because I was lucky back in diploma, my roommates were good. They were fine. They were amazing, actually, and it's like, what can top that? So I started asking around. Like I asked my friends if they have, you know, acquaintances who would be applying to the same place as who would be admitted to the same place as I was, and there were a few who said yeah, but I wasn't sure about it either because I was like, I'm sure they're like mutuals, but I don't know them like that. Like even though we have like mutual friend that we're close to, it's just not the same. I've never spoken to this person, or I'm not too familiar with this person. And then one day, my current roommate, she follows me on social media, as I've mentioned before, and apparently she noticed through like a post that turns out I'd be going to the same place. And because we knew each other, she was like, oh, let me DM her and ask if she'd like to go register on the same day as I am, because at least there's someone we know. And I was like, yes, this is what I was looking for. It was here all along, and I just didn't notice. So we agreed, set a time and like the location and everything, and we were like, okay, let's meet on this day in this place, and you know, hopefully get a room together, be roommates, and hopefully we'll get like a 2-bedroom or whatever. We didn't, spoilers, but luckily we got like two other amazing roommates who joined us in our 4 bedroom fiasco. But yes, other than that, that's besides the point. Oh, actually, that is kind of related to, which I'll get to later. So it's like at that moment I didn't really think about it, but after like a while, like after actually after a few weeks of rooming together, after like living there, actually, I was like, man, like, what are the odds? Like, if I had told myself 2 3 years before that, hey, that girl you just talked to, like that girl you just bought your hijab from, um, she's gonna be your roommate in degree. Like, trust me on this. Like, I would be like, you're crazy. That is such a specific thing to happen that the odds just seem insane. But here we are, roommates. Someone who I just knew her name and face is now a roommate of mine. It's like insane. And we've bonded over time, so it's like we're much closer now. So it's crazy. Like, who would have thought, right? And then another instance of this is also relating to my roommate, my current roommate. So this roommate of mine, other roommate of mine, this is not the same girl from diploma, actually has, you know, was actually in my past as well. It's just I wasn't aware. So remember back in diploma, I took a course. It was English. I was an English major. And turns out this other roommate was my senior. It was just that I'm not aware of it because when it comes to these things, I'm not really that interested. Or like, if I don't have a play in it, I don't really see why I should technically care. It's not to say that I don't respect seniors or whatever. It's just that I'm not really familiar with them. And well, at least I don't think I've seen her. Maybe I have, but just never really thought about it. But yeah, I was so shocked to find out that turns out we were from the same course and we most likely ran into each other once. So it's like, man, what are the odds, right? And then another instance of this, also relating to my past in diploma. So back when I was in diploma, I lived in a dormitory, of course, and my room was located on the second floor of that block, right? And when you live in a shared space and you have a communal toilet, you like pass by rooms, go to the toilet, meet someone, washing their hands, washing your plates or whatever, and then when they look at you, like give them a smile or greet them, ask how they're doing sometimes. And it's one of those instances where you remember their faces, but once like a few years have passed, especially when the pandemic hit, everyone was at home. What do you remember besides the people you circle yourself around? So it's like you forget about it. So one of the girls on that floor who lived on the same floor as mine, turns out right now is my classmate. She is my classmate for the course I am currently taking. That is, I don't know. It's like, what are the odds? So usually when you walk into a new space, kind of like back in diploma, most of the people there have either very little to nothing to do with my past in school. So I was like trying to process, like, what are the odds? Like, this place is huge, and you're telling me one of my classmates, heck, two of my classmates actually, because my roommate who is my senior is also my classmate, and then there's this girl from that same floor back in my diploma days who's also my classmate. It's like, what? Like, how does what? But yes, I mean, it's not that crazy to think of actually, but it's just like, actually it is kind of crazy. Like, okay, to put it to perspective, right? So the faculty I'm currently in right now has like roughly 9 courses, and out of the 9, I'm like number 7, right? And then you're telling me this girl from the second floor just so happened to choose course number 7 as well. It's like, what? Okay, it was just insane when the revelation hit. So yeah, now we're classmates. But it was really funny meeting her for the first time the other day. Well, well, technically not actually the first time. The first time this year, I was like, do you happen to live in that block back in Diploma?" And she was like, "Yeah, you're on the second floor, right?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm on the second floor." And I was like, "Damn." No wonder you seem familiar. She's like, "Right? I thought you looked familiar too." So that was just crazy. But yeah, small world. And also relating to my diploma, there was this girl who lived in the room in front of mine. So our rooms face each other. And back in diploma, we usually leave our doors open, like both of us, both of our rooms. Like we'd have our doors open so that when you're doing work, the atmosphere would liven up. You wouldn't be depressed in your room, crying over like assignments and everything like that. So, point is, one of the girls who lived in the room in front of mine, she's currently majoring in art, and turns out she's also in at the same campus as I am currently. And we ran into each other the other day. So running into each other, though not as insane, is actually insane if you think about it. It's like, what are the odds that you will meet at that road at that moment of time in that situation? Like, what are the odds, right? So the other day when I met her, I was on my way to meet my friend. So it was like towards the library, and then she was walking from the direction of the library. She was actually from her faculty. Oh yeah, yeah. So she was from her faculty that was like facing the library, but we didn't meet there. We didn't meet there. We met like at this road on the way there. So I was on my way up, she was on her way down. And from afar, I actually thought like this girl looks quite familiar, but I'll be honest, I feel kind of bad for saying this, but I didn't really. I was having a hard time remembering who she was and where I've seen her before, so I sort of just shrugged it off eventually. And it was raining lightly that time, so I had my umbrella on, and I was like, so the umbrella was like covering my face a little. And then we got closer, and she was like, "Oh hey, it's me." And it seems like she knew or was aware that I might have forgotten her. So she told me her name, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it's you. You used to live in the room in front of mine." And she was like, "Yeah, I'm currently taking art here right now. What about you?" I told her what I'm doing at the moment, and she was like, "That's really cool. Hope we get to meet up again and everything." And I was like, "Wow." It was like a series of events happening. I was only just a few weeks into my degree life at that point. It's just insane to think about, honestly, and made me realize how a small world this is. There was another instance of this, but I feel like I've given way too many examples at this point, so I'm just gonna like stop there. And the point of this, like the point of me saying this, is because I just find it ironic how many times I've ran into my past. Or, well, running into my past sounds like a huge thing, right? Which kind of is, but they're technically all parts of my past. Like they don't really play like that big of a role back then. Never really impacted my life in any way, I guess, aside from my current roommate who I bought my hijab from. I guess that sort of changed my life because I have a new hijab in my collection. But point is, not much of a impact in my life back in the day, but today played so much role. I guess except for that one girl I met by chance who greeted me, who was the one who lived in front of my room, because we haven't met each other again ever since. But I guess you could say she did play a role in giving me that revelation, like just pistoning that revelation to my brain, kind of like, yeah, yeah, you're just never running away from your past at this point. You're just gonna meet everyone you used to know, and you're gonna like it. And the reason I'm saying this is because, back when I was like, this is so embarrassing to say, but I'm pretty sure there are people, or there are like some of you who probably had this thought, like, yeah, I want to run away from my past, And this was such a strong feeling when I was 19, and I feel like the pandemic had a lot of what's the word, effect or effect, yeah, had an effect on my thought circulation, because I was locked in my room most of the time. And another revelation I had during that time when I was 19 was that man, I really can't handle being alone, can I? Because you realize eventually that even if you, like, as introverted as I am, I really do appreciate the company of my friends. It's like, of course, it can be draining to go out sometimes, but it's like, at the end of the day, the reason I went out in the first place was because I want to meet them. So it's like, the payoff is that I got to meet them, made new memories with them. And then it's just that, socially speaking, well, first I'm awkward, and also, yes, it's draining, but, the fun was the point. So you go out to have fun, not to think about, being drained. So it's like, okay, yeah, I actually can't do this. And I started having, weird thoughts like, maybe it's just because I knew people, and maybe if I don't know people, if I just reject everyone in society, maybe I would be able to handle this better. And it's like, yeah, just ridiculous thoughts, at least ridiculous for me. So then today I look back into those days, and I'm just like, man, if I told 19-year-old me that, yeah, you're just never running away from your past at this point, you're just going to keep running into people, whether you like it or not, because it just happens. You never expect it to happen, but it happens. And it just, like I said, it's just very ironic that this is all happening today. And at this point, I've already accepted that, yeah, you can't run away from your past. Do whatever you like, run away, seclude yourself in Siberia for all I care. You're probably going to run into like some local there who happened to, who used to like live in Malaysia or something, and happened to live in the same neighborhood as you, and probably talk to you, talk to an acquaintance of yours that you were trying to run away from a couple of times. You're just like, man, I really cannot run away, can't I? Because it's happened to me. It's happened to me. Like, other than meeting those people myself, I've had, a friend know this other person that I had a past with, or a friend was a friend to this other person I probably didn't like or something. It's like, you just can't run away from it. Like, even if they're not directly involved, you will just happen to be in their vicinity somehow. It's just insane to think about, honestly. And yeah, that's all, actually. I don't really have anything else to say to that. I guess I could go into another tangent, but I feel like this recording has been pretty long already for my standards. This is actually quite impressive. 23 minutes in. I don't usually even reach 20. So either way, I guess I'll end it here. And sounds kind of awkward to just abruptly end it, but we'll end it here. So I'll see you in the next recording. Bye, I guess. Well, bye for now. I'm not going to say bye to the podcast, because that's not going to happen. Hopefully, I guess. But okay, for real now, bye.